Hello, AP Lang. It's Mr. Nelson. It's week 3 of the coronavirus. I thought I'd take a couple minutes and kind of just walk through what I think the week is going to look like and grades and research projects and all that stuff. I was trying to think of a way to make this a little bit more normal. And what do I usually say when I start off a class? And let's see. For third period, Stallone is wandering around somewhere. He's probably asking me some off the wall question. I probably have to say, niece, be quiet, and then I can get started. For fifth period, that's after lunch. Oh yeah, so I'm doing roll, and I'd probably say, is McClellan here today? And then Fabian, who's also wandering around somewhere in the classroom. Fabian's got his sweater on his shoulders, not draped, not like a preppy would do. It's more balled up, just balanced on his shoulders. And Fabian says, "He's here today, Mr. Nelson. He's just slow." And then we get started. That's pretty much every single day. When I was told that we were going to be teaching online, I told Sherry that it's going to turn teachers into YouTubers, and I feel like that's absolutely correct. I find myself now having to figure out how I project video at the same time show my screen, and so I don't know. We're just all YouTubers now. The one advantage I think it does give me is I can now kind of edit out little clips of video that I normally say to all my classes, and so I can kind of splice those in, and so I don't have to repeat myself over and over and over, which is pretty nice. So let's talk about grades. If you read the email from Basis Ed and analyzed it in a way, essentially, if you like your T1 and T2 grade average, you get to keep it. There's nothing I can do in T3 that could possibly harm your grade. If you recall how the normal student-teacher dynamic works, typically I have a stick that is your grade. I offer some extra credit, which is the carrot, and that's how we get you across the finish line. My goal ultimately is to get you prepared for the AP test, but I've just lost my stick. So with that being said, our one goal is still the AP test. I feel that's the one thing that we can really take out of this entire situation. I've geared the assignments in such a way as to, I feel, get you as prepared as possible for the AP test. You'll notice that I've given you a typing assignment to help you type better. I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to give you a reading assignment to kind of keep you active and reading interesting things. And then I'll give you an AP essay assignment where I'll force you to deal with an essay prompt in some way. I plan on giving points for each of those. I figure what we'll do is just kind of keep track of them. Maybe I can do some sort of leaderboard and see who gets the most points and turn it into a game. I don't know how much time or energy I'm going to spend to any of this, but that's how I kind of figure the next couple weeks going. With that all being said, the next issue we need to talk about is a research assignment. Obviously, if you love your T1 and T2 grade, then there is very little incentive for you to actually do the research assignment. I don't know how each of you are going to analyze that, but I'm just accepting that as a reality. I do consider the research project to be extremely beneficial for you. I feel it's helpful to wrap your mind around a single topic and kind of dig into it to a certain degree, and that's what I've always liked about it. But let's just chalk that up to another sacrifice to the coronavirus. If you want to improve your grade, if you want your overall grade going into the AP test to be as high as possible, I will tell you that if you do your research project, I will reward you handsomely for doing so. I will do whatever I can to help out your grade, because I do know that you're going to kind of going above and beyond. But that's kind of the way I want to take it for the time being, and with all the new information coming out, that's just kind of where I'm at the moment. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about each assignment. The first one I want to focus on is the typing challenge. You'll notice I gave you a link to Nitro Type. Here's its website right there. You can sign up for free using your Google account. It actually links with my Google Classroom, and so I can kind of see your scores as you guys got to go through this. And what it does is it teaches you how to type quickly with good punctuation, capitalizations, periods, all those sorts of things, everything that you would need to do for the actual AP test. And I feel like if we can just slowly practice typing and increase our words per minute, every little bit is going to help when you're writing that timed essay under 45 minutes. If you don't have any idea how to type, if this is completely new idea to you, there are tons of websites out there that you can use to kind of get you started as a very baseline understanding of what you should be doing. Here's an image of a keyboard layout where your hand should be. Index fingers should be on the F and the J function. Most keyboards have a little raised bump that you can feel so you don't have to look down at your hands. And then your fingers just go to the quickest, easiest key from there. Use your thumbs for the space bar. Everybody says you shouldn't look at your hands. My argument is you shouldn't look at your hands if you're good. When you're starting out, look at your hands. Look at where your fingers are. Look at where your fingers should be going and get a feel for where the keys are on the keyboard, and you'll get better and better. And then as you are quicker, then you can start to move away from looking at your hands. So let me see if I can get a game going here. All right, let's do this. What? Fourth? Okay, so the next assignment I want to talk about is the AP essay prompt that we're going to practice. I'm using the College Board website because I imagine that's how you're going to take the AP test in a month, and so I want to start getting us used to it. So I posted an FRQ on there, and what I want to work on this week is only practicing and thinking about that sophistication point. How do we take our essay to the next level? And for the next month, I feel like you've got the right tools. For the next month, I just want to work on making our writing a little bit deeper and more complex and significant than we have in the past. So the free response question I selected this week is a letter from an immigrant to his family, trying to convince them to come live with him. One of the ways in which you get that sophistication point is through context, and so that's what I want to focus on particularly this week. What is the context of the writer, the immigrant who's actually in the United States? What's he thinking? What's going through his mind as he writes this thing? What's the context of the family who's going to receive this letter? How likely are they to agree with him and buy into what he's saying? Are they eager? And then, how that works with the overall intended message, right? Does it work? Is it a letter that would actually convince the family to come visit him, right? Is he hitting the right triggers? Is he saying the right things? All that plays into that. If you remember, a long time ago, I showed you this rhetorical triangle. There's three different things that are kind of all pulling in different directions when you look at a text. You have the author and their contextual situation. Where are they at? What are they thinking? What's this guy's life like who's writing this letter? You have the reader. You have the person who's actually receiving the letter. How are they interpreting this, right? What's their situation? What's their context like? And then the other one is the interpretation of meaning. And, there's a lot of different ways you can read a different thing and take from it the message that you were going to get from it. And all those three things are pulling in any single direction at one time. And what I think is the most important is as we read this letter, we pay attention to those three things and focus on them and find a way in which we can extrapolate some deeper, more complex contextual understanding of the situation and work that into our thesis. And that's what I want to work on this next week. So then when we actually look at the prompt, we see all three of those rhetorical situations present in the prompt itself. Before you even get to the letter, you can already wrap your mind around the situation this guy's facing. I'm going to read the prompt. You guys will read the letter, but I'm going to read the prompt. In 1830, John Donne, a weaver, traveled to the United States from England and took a job so that he could earn enough money to enable his wife and children to join him. Read the following letter from Downe to his wife, and write an essay in which you analyze the rhetorical strategies that Downe uses to convince his wife to immigrate to the United States. All right, so right away you know quite a bit about this guy. It's 1830. He's a weaver. He traveled to the United States from England and took a job to earn money. He's not with his family. He left his family back in England, so this guy kind of took off by himself, travels across the Atlantic. He's here now, and he's trying to earn money. And what he's trying to do is earn enough money to bring his family with him. Think about the situation that puts him in. He didn't have enough money to bring them in the first place. How poor are you that you set off as a husband, as the breadwinner? You just set off and take the last kind of bit of money and you travel far away just on the hope and dream that you're going to earn enough money to reunite yourself with your family. What if you gambled wrong, right? What if you just end up in the United States and there's nothing going? How do you ever get back to your family? Is that a risk you're willing to take? Think about the family stuck in England, right? That's the other part of this, right? So John Downes, the author, that's his situation. His family, the recipient of this letter, they're stuck in England. Father left. They're just kind of, I don't know, does she work? Who knows what her situation is, right? But she's got some kids. The breadwinner's gone. Who knows if he'll ever get back? Who knows if he died on the cruise over or got kidnapped? I don't know. Who knows what's going on, right? So she's got a whole different situation right now, probably very apprehensive about the entire situation. All right, so that's the FRQ for this week. Every week I'll try to give you something to work on. If you're following me to this point, kudos to you. You're doing good. I've got one more assignment, a reading assignment, not AP related. This is more for your own edification. Like I said, you need something to read in these troubling times. And, on a normal school year, I've got a lot of different sources and things for you to read. But for some reason right now, they don't seem all that pertinent. At the same time, I'm sensitive to the fact that a lot of you guys are probably already reading a lot of coronavirus pandemic news, and so you're probably exhausted from doing so. So I wanted to choose something that kind of still stimulates you and forces you to think, but at the same time deals with the situation we currently find ourselves in. So here it is. It's called Of American Sacrifice, Is the Country Ready to Step Up? Published by the Associated Press, reputable. Most news organizations use the AP in some way. By Michael Tackett, recent. And here's what you notice. The benefit of the pandemic and going online is it allows us to kind of read these articles the way they're intended to be read. The new form of journalism is incorporating images into the text. And notice the way he does this is you have these very, very large images that you can't get away from, right? In order for you to read the title of this piece, you've got to read it in the midst of this image from World War II of a bunch of cannons ready to go out. And then as you kind of scroll through this, you'll notice that that's what happens. It'll give you some text. It follows the same traditional journalist format. You have a background, some idea of what's going on. But then, once again, you're forced, as you scroll through this, to deal with another big image, right? And so you can't get to more information, more text, until you deal with this in some sort of way. He offers pretty lengthy descriptions of what you're actually seeing. He wants you to understand what this image is, and then you start reading again, right? So this is kind of the new way in which journalists are presenting their information. He asks the question, is the country ready to step up? He talks in ways in which the country has done so in the past, compares it to those types of areas, and really he's presenting a question to society and to you as a reader is, do you think that we're ready today to handle this situation, right? Once again, putting it in the context of America and the times in the past when we've done that, and he's just kind of presenting it. Read it for entertainment and ask yourself the question if you think the country is ready to step up. Yeah, certainly I encourage you to do so. But the part I'm most interested in is how does he lay out this argument, right? How does he present this issue to you, and are you convinced it's an issue you should care about, right? Think about it. As much as he chose this text and every word he put in here, he intended to put in here, he also chose these pictures. He also wanted you to understand these ration cards, right? And remind you what those look like. Does that help you as you kind of read through this and ponder these questions he's asking you to think about? So that's the reading assignment for this week. Every week I'll give you something that I think would be a good distraction from Minecraft or whatever the heck else you guys are doing, and kind of wrap your mind around something that you can think about and ponder, and then we'll work through it. In the assignment, I asked you to write a 3-paragraph essay on it, and really what I'm looking for just is simply some introduction to what we're talking about, some example and analysis of what we're talking about, and then some wrap-up where you're going to take this issue, your idea on it, and take it to another level. And, same format we practice for the AP test. I do want to practice that to some degree, and so this article is a good way to do that. So read it. I encourage you. It's good. So that's it for the week. 3 assignments every week. I figure I'll do the same sort of thing. Hopefully you guys are keeping safe and keeping yourself occupied. It's interesting times, but we'll kind of just keep going through this as we can. So I want to have a live chat on Thursdays. It looks like 10 o'clock works. I'm willing to do that for as long as you guys want to. And my hope is that we can talk about these assignments and I can answer any questions you have or just talk about AP stuff. But I want some sort of forum that you guys can ask me questions live and I can respond. So Thursdays we'll do that as long as it's useful to do so. But if you have any other questions, ask me in chat, and we'll see you around.